happy with you. So, I mean, still have we can have the treats, the prasadam instead of instead of other kind of things, and we can do whatever we want. We have an easy way, right, of almost spiritualizing anything we want, as long as it's not, something overtly
And
sinful.
and we are wearing neat costumes, right?
Yeah, all those already, so it's not a problem, Can
We've
always
seen
there's always a way, Yeah,
children dressing up like Hanuman and Ram and
yeah,
the Shringadev and all these characters from the Srimad Bhagavatam, and they delight in dressing up like that and acting like that.
yeah. So we can Krishna as almost anything. We put our minds to it. All right. Well, please accept my obeisances. Vanchakalpa turubhascha, kripasindhiveva patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradari. Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamunatira Vanachari, Yamunatira Vanachari. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today's verse is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 2, and Text 8. It's being spoken by Vasudeva, Krishna's Mathura father. And the translation is, in a previous birth on this earth, I worship the Supreme Lord Ananta, who alone can award liberation. But because I desired to have a child, I did not worship him for liberation. Thus I was bewildered by the Lord's illusory energy. And the purport says, according to Sridhar Swami, the word killa, meaning indeed it is true, it is said, or as is well known, indicates that Vasudeva was remembering the words the Lord had spoken to him when the Lord had appeared as four-armed Vishnu in the prison of Kamsa. Srila Jiva Goswami states that from the anxiety of Vasudeva, which is expressed in this words by the words apujayam namokshaya mohoto deva mayaya, it is to be discerned that Vasudeva had heard of the curse of the Brahmanas at Pindaraka against the Yadu dynasty, and that he could understand from this curse that the Lord's disappearance from the earth was imminent. Vasudeva understood that the Lord's manifest pastimes within this universe were coming to an end, and now he lamented that he had not directly taken advantage of the opportunity to worship Krishna to go back home, back to Godhead. Significantly, Vasudeva has used the word Muktidam to describe the Lord. Muktidam is a synonym of Mukunda, or that personality who can give liberation from the cycle of birth and death. It is stated in Vedic literature that even the demigods are bound to the cycle of birth and death, although their lifespan is inconceivably long by earthly calculations. It is the Almighty God alone who can free the conditioned soul from the reactions to his previous sinful activities and award him an eternal life of bliss and knowledge. Vasudeva lamented that he had desired Krishna to come to him as a son instead of desiring to go back to Krishna, back to Godhead to serve the Lord in the spiritual sky. Commenting on this incident in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada has emphasized that we should desire to go back home, back to Godhead, rather than try to bring the Lord to this world as our son. Nor can we artificially imitate the severe penances Vasudeva and Devaki performed for thousands of heavenly years in their previous births as Suttapa and Prishni. In this connection, Srila Prabhupada states, if we want to get the Supreme Personality of Godhead to become one of us in this material world, this requires great penance. But if we want to go back to Krishna, Chaktva Deham Punarjanma, Mam Naiti Mam Eti Sorjuna, we need only understand him and love him. Through love only can we very easily go back home, back to Godhead. Srila Prabhupada goes on to explain that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu freely bestows the benediction of love of Krishna, which allows one to return to Krishna's abode through the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. This chanting process is far more effective in this age than artificial attempts to perform severe penances and austerities. Srila Prabhupada concludes, therefore, one need not undergo severe penances for many thousands of years. One need only learn how to love Krishna and be always engaged in his service. Sevan mukhe hi jivado swayam eva spuratyadaha. Then one can very easily go back home, back to Godhead. Instead of bringing the Lord here for some material purpose to have a son or whatever else, if we go back home, back to Godhead, our real relationship with the Lord is revealed, and we eternally engage in our eternal relationship. By chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, we gradually develop our eternal relationship with the Supreme Person, and thus attain the perfection called Swarupa Siddhi. We should take advantage of this benediction and go back home, back to Godhead. That's from the Srimad Bhagavatam 10.3.38 purport. Although Vasudeva and Devaki desired that Krishna become their son, it should be understood that they are devotees eternally situated in love of Krishna. As stated by the Lord himself, 10.3.39, Mahutau Devamayaya, Vasudeva and Devaki, his pure devotees, were covered by his internal potency. In the fourth canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam 4.120, the great sage Atri Muni prayed to the Lord, Prajam Atma Samam Mahyam Prayachatu, kindly be pleased to offer me a son exactly like you. Atri Muni said he wanted a son exactly like the Lord, and therefore he was not a pure devotee because he had a desire to be fulfilled, and that desire was material. If he had desired the Supreme Personality of Godhead as his child, he would have been completely free of material desires, because he would have wanted the Supreme Absolute Truth. But because he wanted a similar child, his desire was material. Thus, Atri Muni cannot be counted among the pure devotees. Vasudeva and Devaki, however, did want the Lord himself, and therefore they were pure devotees of the Lord. In this verse, therefore, Vasudeva's statement of Pujayam na mokshayam hoito deva mayaya should be taken to mean that Krishna's internal potency bewildered Vasudeva, so that he would desire Krishna as his son. This paved the way for the Lord's appearance as the son of his loving devotees. Yeah, so what's happening here is even though Prabhupada uses it, to be instructive to us, as the purport goes on to say, the Deva Maya, the Maya that Krishna, that Vasudeva was experiencing, that he now appears to regret. And what's actually bewildering him now is Yogamaya, the Krishna's internal potency that increases the Leela. As because now he's the Vasudeva and Devaki and the residents of Mathura and Dwarka, they their love is such that they most of the time don't realize that Krishna is the Lord, but sometimes they do. And when they do, the characteristic is that it breaks their feeling of being parents. It breaks the connection. So we see that even when Krishna first appears as their son, he appears as it said in the purport in a Vishnu form. And he says, look, he says, I'm the one you prayed for me in the previous life, and now I'm here, and I'm showing you this form to prove that I've fulfilled your desires. And so he's clearly the Supreme Lord, and they pray to him as such. They pray to him and say, hey, you're here to kill Kamsa. And then it's actually like this next verse after they're talking about how he's going to kill Kamsa, and then I guess Kamsa comes into their minds, and they say, "But you have to disguise yourself because Kamsa's going to come and kill you. You've come to kill him." But then they switch, and then they forget who he is, and they see him as their son, who they need to protect, and that leads to the whole. He disguises himself as a baby, and Vasudeva, takes him to Vrindavan, and and later on, when they're in attendance, when Krishna comes to Mathura and kills Kamsa, their first reaction is to understand again that he's his divinity, and they come very respectfully in front of him, and Krishna and Balaram don't find that to be so tasteful, so they explain how They weren't they're very poor children. They said that we had to run away from Kamsa. We couldn't do anything for you. You know, had to leave you behind, and it touches their hearts, and then their parental mood comes. This is they sit the adult, well, young adults, you know, the youths on their laps, and they're smelling their hair. You're my son, and so they go back under the Yoga Maya, and later on when everybody meets at Kurukshetra. This is before the battle, that that there's the eclipse coming, and the residents of Dwarka, the residents of Vrindavan, the residents of Hastinapur, and some of the great sages from the higher planets, come down, and Vasudeva asks questions, to them, to the sages, and they reveal that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. And so when they go back to Dwarka, and Krishna comes the next day to offer his obeisances to his father. It was his normal routine. And Vasudeva says, no, he says, I know who you are. You're not my son. And so he, and then Krishna also then manages to bewilder his mind again to bring him back to the feeling of parental love, and not to have that the awe and reverence become predominant, but it breaks it for them. And so here he's thinking of Krishna as the Lord again, and he sees that he's going to disappear, and so now he's thinking that he made a mistake, right? That he's going to, because he's going to be left behind. That's the big mistake. He's going to be left behind, and that's one of the big drivers of increasing the love, because the love that Krishna has for his devotees and his devotees have for him is continually increasing. That's why there's Leela. That's why things happen. And one of the biggest drivers of that Leela is the separation. The thought of separation, the actual separation, and the reunion drives the love deeper and deeper and deeper and more powerfully. So this is his feeling. He's going to be separated, from Krishna. And so he's thinking, oh, I made this terrible mistake. Right? Why did I just want to have a son here on this earth? Why didn't I want to, be with him eternally? And this also is Yogamaya, because it's interesting when you go back to what Lord Vishnu spoke to them when he first appeared to them in Kamsa's prison, is he actually glorifies Vasudeva and Devaki for not wanting liberation, but just wanting them as their son. Right? Because the liberation is an ulterior motive. Right? It happens, when if you have, I mean, Prabhupada talks about this. Kapila, so they were previously Prishni and Sutapa, and also Kashyapa and Aditi, and the mothers of Kapila Dev. He mentions this. Right? There's the verse that is quoted early in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, that the devotees of the Lord don't accept any of the kinds of liberation, even if offered by the Lord, unless it contains service, unless there's a deep service connection. And so if the desire is just to become liberated, because the material world is difficult, that's a selfish desire. And so it's a motivation. It's not anyabilashita shunyam. There's a personal motivation there, which is against what pure love is. The pure love is you just have concerns for the other. And so actually Krishna praises them because you just want me. And you're not thinking about yourself. You just want me, so that this love is more pure. And so but now Yogamaya is having Vasudeva be convinced that was a mistake, because now Krishna is going to leave, and I'm going to be left behind. Right? So now he sees it as a fault. Right? But this is Yogamaya playing with him in both ways. And the fact is, even more so, is that there's no way he can be left behind. The whole narrative of him he and Devaki having these past lives, where they either were parents or they desired the Lord to be their son, um, is not exactly as it appears. They weren't like regular souls that had moved from one incarnation to another. Vasudeva and Devaki are eternal associates of the Lord. They're not just regular souls taking one birth after another. It was an apparent history. But the Bhagavatam says that the eternal associates of the Lord, like Vasudeva and Devaki, they may take other forms and with the same mood. So that, like Krishna says, tells Arjuna that you've been with me in so many other lifetimes, you don't remember them. And Prabhupada says this, that Krishna appears, Arjuna appears sometimes in a different capacity. He's not always Arjuna, but he's a friend that way. And so there's our expansions of the most intimate devotees, just like the queens in Dwarka are expansions of the gopis, and the gopis are expansions of Radha, and that also then Lakshmi is expansion of Radha. So when you get the most intimate devotees, they have other expansions of themselves, partial parts of themselves that take part in other leelas and in the same mood. So the reason why he wants Krishna as his son, and he and Devaki want Krishna as their son, is because that is their, on all of their different, manifestations, that's who they are. They have that parental bhava, that parental rasa. They want that. And so that's why it was natural for them to do that. And that's what they do. They're the eternal parents, in Dwarka and Mathura and even in other places. So it wasn't that these were individual souls taking these various births and now taking birth. They're eternal associates. And so there's never separation. And even from the position of being here on the earth and Krishna leaving the earth, that's also Yogamaya, because the holy dhams on the earth, Dwarka, Mathura, Vrindavan, they're eternal, and actually they're one. There was the famous pastime where Lord Brahma comes to see Krishna in Dwarka, and Krishna shows him how there's a Dwarka in every universe, and that Dwarka is the same place. So because the doorkeeper goes to Krishna and say, Brahma wants to see you, and he comes back and says, Krishna wants to know which Brahma you are, which seemed, crazy because there's only one Brahma in the universe. And so then, so Brahma asks him about that when he comes to see him, and Krishna calls all the other Brahmas. And they're all there together. And it says you could hear their crowns clanking together. The R Brahma could hear their crowns clanking together as they were offering obeisances, but they weren't, none of them were aware of the others' presence. Only R Brahma could see all that. Krishna gave them that. And from the point of view of the Brahmas and the other universes, they didn't come from their universe to this one. They went to their Dwarka in their own universe. So the Dwarka is one. Just like Prabhupada mentions, the super soul is one, but it's like reflected in little pots of water in every being. So that Dwarka is there. And when Prabhupada says that when one Leela, earthly Leela is done, it appears in another universe, right? That's what happens. It's not so much that they travel to this other universe, because they're already there. The holy Dham, the same holy Dham is present in every universe. It's the very same one. But so then so the pastimes are revealed to the persons in that particular universe. So Vasudeva and Devaki and Krishna, they're eternally experiencing all these different leelas. They're all including this fear of impending separation, but they're always there. The Balmi Leela is eternal, and it isn't destroyed. These dhams aren't destroyed when the universes are destroyed. It's there. So this whole Leela that he's being participating in right now, it never comes to an end. And so again, there's no chance of separation, but this is the power of Yoga Maya to make him be concerned about that. It deepens. It's a way to deepen the love. And so Prabhupada's in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Jiva Goswami comments on the Anyabhilashta Shunyam verse defining Uttama Bhakti. And he says that the only devotees who are truly 100%, because it says Uttama Bhakti, the best Bhakti. And so that means, the residents of Vrindavan actually. It says the only devotees who are fully Anyabhilashta Shunyam without any motivation. Divine love, the Uttama Bhakti, which Krishna has and the devotees have, is a hoitaki, a pratiyata. This is there in Bhagavatam in the first canto, second chapter. And it said that our bhakti should become, causeless, without a motivation. It just is, and it can be unbreakable. Prabhupada mentions, I don't know whether it was, we used to, when I was in Detroit and serving on the altar, the head pujari would always play Prabhupada's bhajans. And so I don't know which one it was, but you'd hear also the purports. So there's one bhajan that he would say that the difference between the love in the material world and Radha and Krishna's love is that the love between Radha and Krishna never breaks. He says, even when there's cause for it to break, and I guess they usually, Krishna is giving the cause for that, he's misbehaving in some way, but it never breaks, he says. So that's the apratiyahata. Continuous is how but it means unbreakable also. It can't stop. And so Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he quotes that very same verse and says, this is how Krishna feels about everybody, about the souls. This is his kripa, his hoitaki, apratiyata. It just is. It's causeless. It's not, I have it on this one, I have it on that one, because of this or because of that. It's universal because it just is. And it's unbreakable. So therefore, Krishna is able to come here as Lord Chaitanya in the worst of times and offer himself, because his relationship with the souls isn't broken from his side, it's broken from ours. And he hasn't stopped being our well-wisher. As it says, he says he's the well-wisher of all embodied souls. And so the root form of divine love really is ahoitaki apratiyata. It just is. Nothing makes it happen. But once it happens, it can intensify. And so that's why you have the Leela. So once you have, especially you have mutual that, where it's causeless and unbreakable. It's not because Krishna is God or that kind of stuff. It's because Krishna is just, you have that capacity awakened in you to have that kind of love. And then Krishna's wonderful qualities simply fan that, and the Leela fans that and makes it grow bigger and bigger. The best thing, simple analogy I can make to that is that, here, whatever love we have, it's usually, mixed with desire, but whatever love that we have here, we will notice that we are love-absorbing entities, because we're not self-satisfied. We're feeling needy in this way. The Prabhupada says that our prema turns into kama, right, in the purport in the Gita. So we're love-absorbing entities, right? Somebody may comfort you and hug you, and you'll feel better. You'll absorb that love, but it'll be gone then afterwards. Maybe it makes some permanent benefit for you, or a long-term benefit, but you absorb it, right? We're absorbing, because we're needy, right? Where then the hoitaki love starts from the platform of complete satisfaction. And so love, and then when it's love, it radiates. It just radiates. And when it hits somebody who is similarly radiant, it's not absorbed. It causes the other person's love to shine more brightly. There's no place for it to go. Like, we can absorb it and it just disappears. right? But for them, when the devotees and Krishna meet, their love, makes Krishna's love expand, and Krishna's love makes their love expand. It can't go anywhere. It's like perfectly reflective, right? And it intensifies each person. So none of it goes away. The beginning intensity stays, but then because when the love hits somebody else, it makes their love grow. They're mutually inspired, so it continues to grow and to grow and to grow. And so it says that in Mathura and Dwarka, generally that's exactly the case. But there are moments when the residents there realize that Krishna is God, and that changes their mood. It says it makes them break their mood a little bit, and so therefore, Jiva Goswami says that the residents of Dwarka and Mathura, they're not completely Anya Bilashita Shunyam. I think this should be a cautionary tale for us. Because sometimes we look at this and say that I mean, it's great to aspire for that, but sometimes we think that I have that now. I'm not looking for liberation. I'm not looking for this. I'm not looking for that. Right? I can have this Uttama Bhakti kind of, right from the jump. All right. And what I would say is that, what Prabhupada says, and I was wondering about this when I read the commentary from Jiva Goswami. He said that sometimes they realize he's God, and therefore it's not Anyabilashda Shunyam. I was trying to understand it. How can such exalted people not have the ultimate in bhakti? How can there be a motivation? And the motivation is, Prabhupada mentions it. There's a purport that Prabhupada gives on the Jaya Radha Madhava prayer. And he says that as long as you know that Krishna is God, your love cannot be unalloyed. And because there's a feeling there I think there's a feeling of obligation in one sense, right? That now he's God, you need to serve him. Right? The devotees in Vrindavan, they feel that Krishna needs their service. When you know he's God, he doesn't need your service. You still want to serve him, but he doesn't need it. And then there's also some obligation, right? He's the Lord and you're not. And it's our constitutional position to serve. Right? So anytime he says there's still that notion, and we have to and we have to start with that. That's why we can't if we pretend that Krishna is our friend and stuff, we know better. We're just pretending. And so for us, it's a process to become Anyabilashita Shunya. You can have that aspiration, but there's so many things, and we need to know that Krishna is God right now, because we need to know that we can take shelter there. We need to know that we're safe there. The Vrajvasis, they don't know that they're safe, but they're fully dedicated to Krishna. They immediately run to him anyway for protection. So we need to that love needs to be kindled. Right? We have that potential in us. We can't just manifest it. And so that takes an ongoing process of understanding that Krishna already has that love for us, and slowly being able to trust him, and to begin to feel that you have, shelter and love from him, and you slowly can surrender all of the different other motivations that you have, and fears and doubts that you have. So it takes a really thoroughgoing transformation, and what needs to happen for that, because liberation is pretty easy as far as I can see, actually. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that persons who have mixed bhakti, they go to Vaikuntha. It's not so hard, but the deep connection is more difficult. And it takes a more thoroughgoing process. And so what happens is that the holy name is mentioned in the purport. The holy name is our way to do it. But in order for the holy name to manifest, Prabhupada mentions there's the offensive stage of chanting Namaparad, there's the clearing stage Namabhasana, and there's Shuddhanam. In order for that the real powers of the holy name to manifest for us, which is what causes us to become transformed, right? It's given there in the Shikshastakam, right? That we, in the second verse, it's wonderful that we get it, but we're not gobsmacked by the fact that Krishna just gives himself to us. Krishna comes to us here in our just low condition and says, here, I'm here, take me, in the form of the name. It's not a tool, it's Krishna. Right? Prabhupada often talks about the holy name as he. It's not an it, it's not a thing, it's not a tool, it's Krishna. It says, here, take me. Now, that depends, what are we going to do with that? And so sometimes we think, okay, this is nice, I can take it, I can chant it, and it's nice, and it's working. But we're not gobsmacked by the fact that Krishna has come out of his own accord, out of his concern and care for us, his well-wisher of us, and starts to repair the relationship that's broken on our side and says, here I am, take me. And we think, oh, that's nice. Maybe I'll chant a little bit, I'll try it out. And that's okay, that's typical. But if we stay on that platform, right, that it's a nice little tool that I can use, and I'm doing it while I'm chanting and this kind of stuff, and I'm not gobsmacked and just dumbfounded by the fact that Krishna just came to me, and who am I in this terrible condition in Kali Yuga, and is offering himself to me. Then there's not huge interest. It says, and that's going to cause us to make offenses, especially the offense of inattention. And it's not going to allow us, as the second verse says, to have anuraga. We have nanuraga. We're not that enthusiastic. It's really nice, but we're not that enthusiastic. So it takes us being gobsmacked. It takes us being overwhelmed and thunderstruck by that causes us to begin to manifest the qualities of this third verse of Shikshastakam, which begins to unlock the real potency of the holy name. Lord Chaitanya says that the qualities in that third verse are simply intensify and take you to prema. So if we want more than liberation, if we really want to have that divine love kindled in us, we have to be able to pass into and through that third verse of Shikshastakam. And that takes us not thinking of ourselves as being the driving force of our advancement. It isn't that Krishna came and said, here's their tools, do it. No, the tool is Krishna. And our level of appreciation of that, and the level that we give credit to Krishna and not to us, allows us to manifest the potency. Because otherwise we're kind of hard-hearted. We think, okay, yeah, well, I mean, maybe I was special, that's why I got it and other people don't, and I'm chanting, right? That's good. And instead of thinking that that's the most extraordinary thing that could happen. God comes to you and says, here, and we're just complete nobodies. And he says, here, please take me. And if you, with the right attitude, the holy name will do everything for you. So anyway, the time is up here. So let's have your input, your comments, questions, complaints. Thank you for your attention. Gail?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Yeah, I was wondering if you could repeat the part where you explained how having a conception of Krishna as God, right? Not just as like in the more intimate mood of being our friend, how seeing him as God like kind of disqualifies us as having anyabhilashita.
Yeah, but of course, again, I say we can't start with that. Okay, we have to know he's God to begin with. That's why we can't be anyabhilashita right away. We have to know that we're protected by him. We have to know that there's shelter there. Otherwise, we can't surrender these things. So we have to start with that. There's no way around that. We can't start out as anyabhilashita shunyam. We can become
but
that
that's
way.
what I'm trying to understand.
So what it is if you know that he's God, but then the love has a cause. He's God. You're obliged in some way, right? You're obliged in some way.
Yeah, but that's different. Being obliged is different from having desire, no?
It doesn't matter. It's still a cause. See, it's not material cause. Even Prabhupada will say that, if you want liberation, that's not a material thing either so much. But that's a cause. See, when it says causeless, it means it just is.
Oh, because you
There's
see,
no reason for it.
yeah,
And it doesn't mean material cause, it means any kind of cause. It just
right.
is. Then when that's established, then the connection between the Lord and his devotees, cause it to intensify. But its beginning, it just is. That's who Krishna is. He has that type of love. And we can come close to that or we can be there. But that we can't look at that Anipilashi Shri and say, oh, I'm going to do that now. No, there's no way.
So here it sounds like you're equating Anyabilashita with a haituki.
It's the same. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. That's what it is.
Okay, that's what.
No, because no other, no motivation for it. No other,
Uh-huh.
yeah. It just is. Yeah, it's the same thing. It's exactly the same. It just that love simply is. And you see that with Radharani, right? In the final verse of Shishastam, she says, "Do whatever you want."
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, in the translation in the Shikshastakam and the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's very graphic. She says, "I am Padaratam. I have fallen at your feet, and you can embrace me," which means like you pick me up and embrace me, or you can pinashtumam, trample me under your feet.
Yeah.
Right? You can mortally wound me. That marmahatam, that marma is like a vulnerable spot, we'd be killed. So it's like Prabhupada says, broken hearted, like, you can be mortally wound me because you're a womanizer, but you and only you are the Lord of my life. Right? She says if he desires somebody else, if there's somebody that pleases him more, another woman, she'll become that person's maidservant. So it's there's nothing that can break it. That love cannot be broken.
Yeah. So I understand that you're saying Anyabilashita is the same as a haituki, but I'm not seeing how having or serving Krishna because he's God and that being a cause for the service is the same as having a desire.
It's not the same as a material desire, but it's still a cause. See,
No,
it's not saying it's a material desire.
I know, but
It's a motivation. It's a motivation.
oh,
See,
motivation like
it's a
that.
motivation.
Okay, motivation. That's
It's a motivation.
okay.
And so otherwise, it's without a cause means it's causeless, or without a motivation,
Right, right.
right? And so there's
Yeah.
something else there besides just the desire to serve. That there's some obligation there. He's God,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right?
Yes.
He's God and I'm not. Therefore, there's some obligation there. And so with Krishna, he's, for the residents of Vrindavan, they sometimes do know he's God, but it doesn't break the mood. The mother Yashoda just thinks, "Oh, my son is God. Isn't that great?" He doesn't think that's not my son, And so it doesn't break that mood. So they feel that Krishna needs their love and their service, and even when he's bad. Right? Even he's giving them all kinds of consternation, stealing the butter and doing all these things, that the love remains. So you see in the other Leelas, it's less chaotic. And Krishna kind of keeps things within certain, it's not so crazy as it is in Vrindavan. He's not quite as naughty as he is in Vrindavan. So yeah, so that's the so it says Prabhupada says it can't be completely unalloyed as long as you know it's God. That's what he says in the purport to Jayarada Madhava. Now, so we have all these things. We're expecting that when Krishna comes into our life, he's going to improve our lives. Even if we're not thinking, directly, I want this particular thing, and that we automatically think that if God is caring for us, he's going to help us in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's just natural.
Mm-hmm.
And we may not have a list, and we're expecting that to happen, but we're expecting that he's going to do that, and that's okay, right? Because we have to learn to trust him. Something that we have to learn. But we have that. So sometimes we think we can just jump into the Anibilash Shunyam right away, and that's something that has to develop.
Mm-hmm.
So that even when Prabhupada in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's that verse is quoted from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And Prabhupada, then the word for word, where it says Anyapalashta Shunyam, Prabhupada says the core meaning first. He says, what does he say? Only for the pleasure of Krishna. It's only for the pleasure of Krishna. And then he puts a comma and he says, or without material desires, such as, such as, and then he lists the four regular principles, right? So he shows that there's a, and even that is, I mean, liberation is more than those things, so he's saying that, so he's saying, that we can start by, not being so overtly concerned about material things, right? At least we were willing to move towards removing some of these material attachments, and so we begin at a lower place. We have, even if we're not worshiping Krishna for a particular purpose, we're expecting him he's my friend, he's going to smooth the path for me. Of course he does, but does he have to? And when he doesn't, then we get upset.
Mm-hmm.
All right? And so slowly Krishna gets us to trust him more and more and more.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He puts us in situations. Why, Krishna? Why are you doing this to me? I'm your devotee. He says, well, I thought you were on Bilashta Shunya. And smiles, Okay, it's okay if you're not, he says, but you're saying you are. So I'm testing you a little, teasing you a little bit, and see what you think about that,
Mm-hmm.
You know what Anipalashta Shunyam really means? He says, are you ready for this? No, we're not ready yet.
No.
But it's okay. But it's a process,
Yeah.
right? It's a process. So
Mm-hmm.
do we, what causes it? Because I said with Radharani, Prabhupada says it never breaks. Well, now it's going to break with us. We can be upset with Krishna. Why did you do this to me?
Mm-hmm.
And that's even a relationship. Krishna enjoys that, but it's like we're like, hey, I'm writing you up. I'm putting you on probation. You can't be doing this stuff.
You said.
Ready to fire that guy. He's
Mm-hmm.
supposed to come in and help us out here. Look what you're doing. Maybe Lord Shiva can help better. I'm going to advertise for a new protector of my life. I get upset. So so slowly it's these things are revealed to us that we have. Actually, we guess what? We have this. We have this. We have this.
You mean
And the more that we allow Krishna the more that we allow Krishna freedom, right? The more that we allow freedom for him, the more then he can root out all of these different, all these, all the balashitas and all the causes. And so it takes a deep dive into our conditioned self in order to have that our ability of pure love to be awakened.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. I don't know if you're staying for the afterglow, but I know other people want to
Yeah, it's
ask.
almost time. I see Min. And maybe you can just ask your question, Min. We got a couple of minutes yet.
Yeah, I just wanted you to again elucidate on the third verse of the Shikshastakam and how if we are truly understanding the wonder of Krishna coming into our life and giving himself to us,
That's to me that's the clear underlying connecting principle. The different qualities there are not entirely separate qualities, and they're not qualities we're supposed to just reach out and kind of acquire. They can be a byproduct of that understanding about Krishna's causeless mercy and how we've received that. And if we should be dumbfounded and thunderstruck, we kind of say, "Oh, that's nice. People receive the holy name. Why not me?" We're kind of, maybe I'll chant. We kind of think it's okay. It's nice. It's nice. Krishna's really kind, yeah. But how kind? We should be thunderstruck. And if we're thunderstruck, we will appreciate that gift because that's Krishna so much.
how to make it more, how can we become thunderstruck? Appreciate,
Well,
really realize.
we have to think about that a little bit and let our hearts and see what it is. Where is that blockage? Why aren't we? Right? Why do we not want to be? What is that?
I
Why do
guess
we think?
the thing is, is to think that Krishna himself, the Supreme Lord, has actually come to me personally is like, I guess there is some, I don't know, because some impediment to that belief, I guess, that he,
Well, there you go. So you got to trace it out for what it is, right? He wouldn't come to me,
yeah, like
or
that.
maybe I'm special, right? He saw me and decided to give to me, and so hey, now I'm different. I'm better than other people. But that's what happens early on, right? In the sadhana process, there's that utsahamai. We start to feel good about yourself. There must have been a reason why Krishna chose me, and now I have the holy name and I'm using it, and so I feel better about myself. I feel like I'm a little bit special. And that, as soon as we start feeling special about ourselves or think that we're really the driving force between our spiritual advancement, that, I mean, we're happy for Krishna's, first grace, but we're taking credit for our advancement. So how do we become thunderstruck? Okay, it's time for the.
Thank you so much for. Oh boy.
Spiritual master, and the only way by which we can obtain pure devotion and service. And bow down to his mercy with great awe and reverence. By his grace, one can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified, words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord, birth after birth. From him ecstatic prema emanates. By him ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, friend of the poor and the Lord and master of the devotees. Oh, master, be merciful unto us. Give us the shade of your lotus feet. May your fame be spread all over the three worlds. We take shelter at your lotus feet. Ki Jai. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhu.
All right, so let me just, Gail, let me just say a couple more things. The two other main ways we react to this Krishna's mercy, this dumbfounding, bewildering, magnificent mercy of his, is the ego can react in one of two ways, and oftentimes both. Either we may presume, right, that we were special and somehow deserved it, and so somehow, it wasn't causeless. We were, and the other thing is that, Krishna couldn't possibly have love for me now, mercy for me now, but he's giving me a chance. Right? He's throwing me, he's here, take the holy name and make yourself worthy of having me be concerned about you. So there's the pride and the low self-esteem. And sometimes we can flip from one to the other very conveniently. But that's the ego's way of not being dumbfounded, because otherwise the ego is going to have a big problem. If Krishna just loves us unconditionally, if he's our unconditional well-wisher, he wants to help us, then we can't be special, and we also can't make ourselves good enough. Okay. So that's the ego's way of a defense mechanism to not be dumbfounded and thunderstruck, and go move towards humility, tolerance, and all this other kind of scary stuff. Keep things under control here. I got control of this process.
Yeah, the idea that we have to qualify ourselves is, I think, what I kind of more inclined to latch on to. Yeah, Krishna has come, but I have to still kind of show him that, I don't know, that I'm serious about wanting the relationship. So kind of try and qualify myself in that way, by.
And see, it's more a question of opening ourselves to that, because because how do we do it? Chanting the holy name. But what does the work there? Also the holy name. Like, is our chanting so wonderful that we empower the holy name by our chanting? Yeah.
No, but by paying attention to the holy name, right?
But I mean, if we think that this is a beautiful gift from Krishna, we'll pay attention. If we have to struggle, like we all do this, right? What do we do with the mind, right? Why that's the whole thing between the Durdaivam and the Nanuragaha, is that we don't value it that much. We think either that Krishna has just thrown this tool and we have to improve ourselves, and so that's hard work, kind of, or that we're special and hey, we're doing great. So if not, we just think, wow, this is amazing. And when something is amazing, you don't. If I have some juicy gossip, or say the World Series is going on and you're a baseball freak, right? And we're in the middle of a crowd. It's in the middle of the day, and I got news about that. You're all ears, man. Right? You don't have to, okay, I have to do pranayama. I have to try to pay attention. Oh, no. If there's appreciation, there's attention, man. There's no problem. So when we don't have attention, it's a sign, right, that we're not really very appreciative. But Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur says that's the sign of hard-heartedness. That's our problem. And so the ego is fighting us. And so, if we chant, yeah, sure, we need to we have the opportunity to respond, right? But that response is a tiny response to what we've been given. And that's the thing. When we understand that we're thunderstruck, and this is an amazing thing, we never think that our actions in bhakti amount to anything. We think that we have to respond in some way, but we realize that we don't have that kind of love. And so
I,
our response is that Krishna appreciates it, but our response is, not up to snuff.
I'd
And so
almost
we don't take
like,
ourselves very seriously that way.
it's almost like a catch-22 though, because to respond to the holy name appropriately, we have to have that realization. But to have that realization, we have to pay attention. But
No, but if no 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 we have to understand at least on some degree that this is an amazing thing, like really amazing, and we have to watch that ego part, and then we will pay attention, right? And then the holy name will be better. So it's again we're trying to take that credit somehow that we're going to get credit for this, darn it anyway, but we're not. So if we chant Hare Krishna, we say, this is amazing. Let me chant Hare Krishna. So it's not going to be perfect, but at least it comes with that. And I'm actually trying, and I'm recognizing that what I'm doing is, insufficient. We never can repay that gift actually. Then that keeps the heart humble, and we'll remain more attentive. It's not up to us to become attentive. Attentiveness will be a byproduct, more or less, of our appreciation of that.
mm-hmm.
As soon as we think we're the driving force, instead of that we're responding in an insufficient way to something extraordinary, then we're taking credit. And we like that. We like that. The ego likes that.
So the real work, therefore, is really to try to understand what is keeping me from getting the fact that Krishna has come in the
We
form of
should
Krishna.
wonder about that. Yeah. So Mathuranath Prabhu has his hand up. So I think we gotta
Thank you so
move
much.
on to
I
him.
have
I
a
think.
quick question.
Yes, Prabhu.
If I'm having visions of Kali in my home, are you seeing this, or is this just in my
I've
head?
seen. Yeah. Well, Kali is Krishna's servant, also, right? Good for Halloween.
Yeah.
So yeah, beautiful. It's quite a vibrant vision too, by the way. Maturanath Prabhu, you're leaving you hanging with your hand up for so long.
No, that's okay. I appreciating what you're speaking, Miguel. It's a beautiful conversation, and something I'm just yes, I'm really sitting with is in this conversation. Are we understanding Krishna's nature as well? Which
Yeah,
is Krishna's like he's love.
yeah,
Krishna's he's a love, he's not only love, he's like a love addict. He
yeah.
can't do anything but love us and accept us, and he wants us so bad. He wants us to come back to the spiritual world more than we want.
So the Prabhupada
So
says, yeah, yeah,
yeah, so when
yeah.
we understand this, um then and what I'm hearing you saying is having this gratitude really starts to open the heart. It starts to like create this more of a connection where we can chant with attention, we can chant with sincerity.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm just it's such a rich subject, because so much of the time I see we don't understand Krishna's nature so much. We're trying to almost relate to Krishna from like how what we see in this plane,
It's
and
fact. Yeah.
we're not seeing with those eyes of amazement and gratitude for who Krishna is and how he is, and how much there's one quote that Krishna loves us as much, is from one of the acharyas. He loves us as much as he loves himself because we are his part.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, so he, like you said, that's the meaning of life is that's why this divine love which is ahoitiki apratiyata. That's what it is. There's nothing better than that, and so that's who Krishna is. And so so when we hear that he's your even Prabhupada would say, right, that he's your ever well wisher, right, because he was the conduit of Krishna's love, and so Krishna says he's the well wishing friend of everybody. And wishing well to the other, that's the root of love.
Mm,
You want what's good for the other. That distinguishes that from desire. So Krishna, that's his essence.
mm,
It can't be broken. No matter what we do, that it can't be broken from his side.
mm,
And he's inviting us, to participate to whatever level we want to do it. He's inviting us, you know. And it has to be free, so therefore we have the choice. But he's there. So yeah, we do have to realize we can't. In this case, he's a person, but he's not person like us.
mm,
He has a different basis. We're persons that are needy. We're persons that whatever little love we have is motivated generally. Prabhupada said sometimes like a really good mother can be somewhat unconditional, but it won't be universal. Even if it's kind of unconditional, it won't be universal. So divine love is universal. That's Krishna's only reaction to everything.
mm,
It's universal and it's unconditional and it's unbreakable, and that's just what it is, and that's dumbfounding to us
mm.
who have a whole different experience of life.
Yeah, I love that it's unbreakable. I mean, just to think about that, fathom that his love is unbreakable. Something I'm just contemplating. I'm studying some economics of the world, and some of the big economics people are saying we've been in this economic bubble, and there's a crash coming in the economy, and it's going to be a big one. And I'm just relating to like the Cowherd Boys with Agasura. They're like, here's a massive monster, and let's just walk in his mouth, and Krishna will save us. So, I'm having some awareness. Maybe some people are not, but like, should I be concerned and prepare for this, or just walk into it as the Cowherd Boys did in the mouth of Agasur and say, I shouldn't, worry or prepare or think, Krishna, let me just totally rely on Krishna.
I don't think when Krishna sends things to us that he's expecting us always just to be passive. So the cowherd boys, of course, are on a particular high level of lila, and so like if say we're facing some kind of economic huge crash and destruction, if there's nothing we can do, you know, then we say, okay, this is what Krishna wants me to experience. But sometimes we can say but surrendering to Krishna's will means we just passively accept whatever happens. Many times Krishna is trying to show us that is to give us the opportunity to react to something with greater love, with greater, with greater poise and with greater things like that. So it's not always that we have to be passive. Krishna is giving us things, ways that in which we can react to in a healthy way. So it's not that we should necessarily, just feel that we can do everything ourselves. But if there's something we can do, why not? You know? And
Yeah.
if not, if that doesn't help us, we are confident also of Krishna. But part of what's happening in this world, it's interesting. I just was reading in the Bhagavad Gita where Prabhupada says this world can be as good as Vaikuntha. Right? So we hear so much about when Prabhupada's preaching, especially to new people, how we just want to get out of the world. The world's full of miseries, all this kind of stuff. But if we're devotees, then Krishna, interacts with us through the world. It's not just Mahamaya any longer. So he puts us in situations that test our understanding, that test our ability to respond. Because everything is nice. We're nice people when everything is nice. When there's danger or trouble, then the other things come out. So a lot of things that happen to us, this is a kind of lila. when we run into people who are not very friendly, or we run into circumstances that are challenging, these kind of things. These are ways for us to more deeply integrate, our understanding. And so it doesn't mean, oh, Krishna, I mean, it can be an extreme example. If I'm standing in the middle of the road and the car is coming at me, should I stop? And so there's limits to it, right? I mean, we can't, but if there's, prudent things that we can do to take care of ourselves, we do that, understanding that, Krishna is also there, and try to do it with the best attitude. So I don't think we're supposed to necessarily be passive. Now, if something can't be avoided, then we accept it as Krishna's grace. And here's a chance I need to to surrender deeply in this way.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank
But
you.
not to be passive necessarily.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hi, Krishna.
Wow, what a profound class. I'm, and the question that just came up just now, Jesus sent his disciples out, and he said, don't worry about what you're going to wear. Don't worry about where you're going to sleep. Don't worry about what you're going to eat. Don't bring a bag of money, but preach.
Yeah.
So you say, you got to do something. What we're focused on is not our bodily maintenance. That's there so that we can preach. But basically the focus is, how can we give what Prabhupada gave us to others? And this whole subject of going back and forth between Yoga Maya, when you forget Krishna's God, and then worshiping him as the Lord, I can't handle it. I have to tell you. It's too much. It's just too much. I don't know. Prabhupada talks about licking the outside of the jar or tasting the honey, and you can get so philosophical about how to navigate, the understanding of Krishna consciousness without actually just engaging in devotional service, bhakti mam abhijanati. And as far as I can understand, what Shastra and Guru tells us is serve Krishna. You don't have to argue or philosophize about a gulab jamun. Just eat it.
Yeah.
You don't want to just read the menu in the restaurant and analyze the ingredients of the. Just the difference between reading the menu in the restaurant and having dinner is really, like you mentioned, realization. Then we experience Krishna consciousness is experiential. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, you will get it by realization, and it's joyfully performed. This is real knowledge, not just. There's one woman came out to the gift shop in the temple, and there was this murti of Krishna, and she said, "I just love that boy." I said, "That's." She said, "I just love Krishna." That's how the gopis are. They just love Krishna. I don't know if there's a very deep, you know, philosophical discussion about the whole thing. And if we just serve Krishna, everything else will be there, as far as I know. Anyway, maybe I'm just a simpleton, but I can't handle too much intense
Well,
philosophical.
it's not relevant for our practice at this time. Like I said, we can't deal with it. But I think in some ways the conceptual understanding, what it tells us is that we're going to have to allow a very deep surrender if we want to come to that level at some point. If we're thinking of being in part of Krishna's Leela, then long term we're not we're looking to have a deeper and deeper humility and tolerance and this to allow us to be surrendered enough to let Krishna do anything. That's really the difference between the Brijvasis and everybody else. That Krishna then can do anything. Radharani says that, and so right now we have no choice. We have to think of Krishna as God. Otherwise, we don't have that kind of level of advancement. And so it's true that it's a kind of just a theoretical concept. But what it can do for us is that if we do have some future uh, desire to have the Raj Leela, it's going to take something. It's going to take some deep transformation for that to happen. We can't take it cheaply.
Lord Chaitanya is very merciful,
Yeah,
bestowing freely pure love of God.
yeah, the opportunity. He's given the opportunity, and we have free will. So, how much will we embrace it?
Yeah.
I'm just thinking too with this is we also have to come from where we're at. So if we have a lot of fear, if we have a lot of doubt, we have to, work through that fear, that doubt. Of course, it happens also by surrendering to Krishna and through being, but when it's a catch-22 because we're thinking, well, just stop being fearful. But when we're and be courageous, and yes, it's not even that we have to be courageous. When our soul is courageous, when we stop, when the fear stops, then we're naturally courageous because that's who we are.
Yeah.
That's We want to jump into Krishna's arms, but we need to actually address the fear, and that means we talk to devotees, as we were discussing yesterday. We reveal our minds in confidence. We talked and we hear from somebody who can crack open our heart to an advanced devotee that can really break open and dissipate these fears, these doubts, these disempowering anarthas that are around our heart. Um, so acknowledge them at the same time, hearing, revealing them, discussing them. We need to also do that. That's part of service. That's one of part of our seva.
Yeah, I mean, again, here, when somebody loves you unconditionally, like Krishna does, right? That's the person you can be most authentic with. And if we, have some of that for one another, then we can be authentic and vulnerable to one another. So when we think we have to become something more in order for Krishna to accept us, then we have to put on this front, right? I'm fearless, I'm this, I'm devoted, I'm all this kind of stuff. But we can come to Krishna as he comes to us when we're broken, and we can come to him in response in our full brokenness and be accepted by Krishna. And then, by being vulnerable that way, that you also expose yourself for Krishna's grace to help that. And that may be through devotees. But when we feel that I have to be something different than I am, otherwise Krishna is displeased, then I won't be authentic, right? And I'll still have these things, but I'm going to push it down there. I don't see it. Hopefully nobody else sees it. Krishna can't see it down there. Right? And we put a facade of Krishna consciousness on ourselves.
Aren't we forgetting one thing? But aren't we forgetting one thing? The most important thing, Guru's grace. We
Yeah,
can't
well,
do
that's
any
also Krishna's grace, right? That's
right,
that's
but without the Guru, we can't. This is all. I mean, honestly, this is all an intellectual thing that I didn't understand at all. All I know is that with the Guru, serving the Guru, with the Guru's grace, like they say, I'd rather be a fool in the Guru's ashram, and I'd get everything to serve the Guru to get to that point than having this intellectual. Honestly, I didn't understand a word of some of what was said today. But when you do
well, then
savor,
you're fine though. That your understanding is sufficient, so that's fine.
no, I didn't say it wasn't sufficient. I'm just saying we're forgetting
No,
an
I'm saying
important.
your understanding is sufficient. If you just have faith in the Guru, that's fine. You don't need to,
Yes, I just have
if you
faith
don't
in
need,
the
you don't
Guru.
need it, so that's fine. No
Yes,
problem. There's no
yes,
problem. I
just
mean,
have faith in the Guru.
there's some, so there's some people, I guess myself included, that, needed to have too much philosophy, but we don't need, we can be simple and just get to the essence, and there's no problem with that.
Yeah.
That's a real benefit. But some of us have too active minds, and we need to satisfy them somehow.
Oh, I have an active mind, trust me. But I've also had that experience of being in an ashram and serving the Guru and being and experiencing love.
Hmm. Wow.
You know, where there are no words, there's no intellectual argument. Oh, trust me, I have a very, very active mind.
But that's what we were talking about, though. The Guru is the representative of Krishna, so you felt that love, and then you respond to it. So that's
Hmm.
really what we were talking about.
Yeah, I just felt I had to point that out the grace
Great.
of the Guru.
Yeah, yeah. He's the. I mean, the guru is the manifestation of Krishna's love. So,
Mm-hmm. Okay,
the
thank you.
yeah,
I also
beautiful.
appreciate the point, Giri Govardhan, of being vulnerable, not only with Krishna's devotees, with Guru, but also with Krishna, because Krishna's with us 24/7. Am I talking to him? Am I revealing my doubts? Am I in my our in our japa, are we? It's a time when we can actually talk to Krishna. It's not I'm just saying this mantra and there isn't me and my full self-expression, my heart, my everything that is happening for me. It's, hey Krishna, this is what's happening. I'm angry, I'm hurt, I'm sad, I feel shame. you know
Yeah,
let's work through this. This is like, it's like a personal development seminar we can enter every single day with Krishna.
yeah, it's true.
Good
We
Thank you
get
very
to
much.
chant, we don't have to chant.
You don't have to do anything, but but we, yeah, but, we don't have to do anything. We're and Krishna is still there, but do we want to be connected? And so that's our question. Are we interested? We can just be curious, to start out with, but that's the free will part of it. Are we interested, and how much? And we be as interested as we are. Give permission for Krishna.
Thank you very much. Has everyone feel satisfied glorifying Krishna?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I would just, something that's still nagging at me is in my heart, I truly believe and have evidence that Krishna is with me 24/7. He has proven that, countless times, right? Yet the contradiction is that my inattentiveness at times, although I'm very um, determined about being attentive to my chanting, and even the fact that I have to exercise determination and being attentive and chanting kind of contradicts what I feel I know in my heart, that he is always with me. So this is like a kind of thing I can't kind of really figure out. How can I simultaneously feel that I know in my heart that Krishna is always with me because of my experiences, yet not be able to be as attentive as I would like to be, while I'm chanting his name?
Well, hold on to that thought. We'll see you Tuesday evening.
Okay.
How about that? Because we got the
Okay.
community group.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're talking about that stuff exactly. So
Okay, Prabhu.
Is that a live or is that a Zoom call?
it's Zoom.
Zoom.
Oh,
Yeah.
how do I get on that? I'd love to be there in that.
Um, I can if you can. My email address is Giri Giri at iskonofdc, all one word, .org, and you'd be welcome to join that.
Okay, thank you.
Iskana Vaikuntha. Yeah.
iskonofdc.org. Giri at. So yeah, we're kind of over time here, so I guess we.
Thank you very much, Giri Govardhan Prabhu. Krishna is so wonderful that he gives us himself, not just a tool. That's my biggest takeaway from your class.
Yeah, yeah. He's hi, I'm Krishna. Here, take me.
Not just he
It's a
throws.
heck of a deal. It's a heck of a first overture.
Thank you for pointing that out, Giri Govardhan Prabhu. Our reciter, Isaiah, is prepared to recite the Maha Mantra as loud as he can. He froze. He froze.
Oh.
Karen, they're gone. Okay. All right. Jay Robinson, would you like to fill in for Isaiah?
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
That was
Right.
so deep and sincere,
That
childlike,
was solid.
solid, solid Vaikuntha. Thank you.
Yeah.
We love you. We need you. Giri Govardhan Prabhu ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shrimad Bhagavatam ki jai. All the Vaishnavas on this call ki jai. All the Vaishnavas watching on YouTube